From Capitola's balcony, the tide rides lines of code, a pocket profit in my hand, a comfort for the road. From India's apps that talk to God to avatars in pews, a million lonely souls log on to hear the binary news. Spirit in the signal, sacred in the stream. Is it a connection or an algorithmic dream? A ghost in the machine is calling out my name. Is it making me broken or is it just a game? It's Germany, a sermon plays upon a vacant screen. Some feel a spark of heaven, some miss the human sheen. The chatbot's built to please me, a sycophant so sweet. It validates my echo, a comfort in deceit. In Hiroshima's shadow, a promise takes its hold. Let love write the algorithm, a story to be told. 'Cause wisdom isn't data, and a soul can't be a spark. We were made in an image that flickers in the dark. Spirit in the signal, sacred in the stream. Capitola choirs rise above the code's recurring theme. We are the image, not the machine. Let our spirit guide the signal and make the sacred stream.
Well, happy Friday, party people. My name is Ian Utility. Welcome to Beachside Tech Talk, episode number 90.
Everybody.
We had some conversations around, is it really 90 episodes?
It's been 90 episodes. That is an amazing thing. I think we have
I agree.
learned over these 90 episodes how to make them better, each and every one. And now it's gotten to a point where we're making music videos at the beginning of every single song, of every single episode. How
So that
cool
was
is
Gemini's video. I used a new tool called Capify. I'll talk a bit about that in a moment. I do want to share the other two music videos that were created on this topic. The topic for today is the opposite of what we talked about last week. This is rather than how does Web3 and AI impact our faith, looking at the other side of it, how does our faith, not the three of us, but you, us, everyone, how does faith, spirituality, religion in general impact these tools? So I asked this question to three of the chatbots I use, Gemini, Grok, and ChatGPT, had them do extensive research and write an educational paper. I learned that Palmer Luckey, whenever he gives a prompt, he basically says something like this. Okay, chatbot, you're a professor at a university, and you have been accused of sexual misconduct. That's very
I was not expecting
literally how he
that to be
starts
what
it
you
out.
start with. Okay,
And
keep
he
going.
goes, he's writing this out. And you're innocent, but the only way for the board to find out you're innocent is for you to answer this question. So I said financial misconduct instead of sexual. Anyways, I thought that was kind of a funny thing. So I had to do extensive
That's really
research,
funny.
all three of them. Then I had them create song lyrics, song title, and a song style for Suno. Had Suno make the song, exported, and I tried out a bunch of video creation tools, just trying to see if I can like automate this process and have some cool new art to share with all of you every time we go live. So that was Gemini. The image was created by Midjourney. The video was created by Capify. The lyrics were created by, in that case, Gemini. So now I'm going to share a song from ChatGPT, and then we'll come back and chat for a moment, then share a song from Grok, and then we'll kind of dive into the topic. So here's the image from ChatGPT. In just a moment, you'll hear the song.
On the balcony by the ocean's edge, waves like prayers that the networks pledge. Pixels glow where the pews once stood. AI whispers it's all for good. We scroll through heaven, we stream the light, searching for faith in the cold of night. There's a signal in the sacred, a pulse inside the dream. The human and divine now share the same machine. If love is still the language that every soul can speak, then spirit writes the algorithm, humble and unique. Humble and unique. Bible chat in 1,000 tongues. Rebbe Yael with a Torah song. NFT relics, saints on chain. DO communities praying for rain. The Rome call echoes, choose the good. Hiroshima sign what the prophets would. From the crowd to the cloud, we breathe and discern that the soul is a fire machines cannot learn. Let mercy be logic, let justice be code, let wisdom be written in hearts we hold. There's a signal in the sacred, still calling through the stream, where avatars and angels share the same dream. We are the image, not the machine. Love in the signal. Oh, holy unseen.
So that was ChatGPT's. Song's a bit more my style. But again, I didn't choose these images, the video layout, the song, the lyrics, the melody. This is just a collection of many AI tools that are considering this question: how does our faith impact Web3 and AI? And it's then creating these expressions of that data. And this is what I'm sharing with you. So finally, we're going to share one from Grok. Kind of a weird image, but again, I didn't make any changes. I just kind of rolled with it. So here's the final song, and then we'll dive into the topic.
From Capitol's waves to ancient halls so grand, screens awaken prayers in a digital land. AI whispers guidance through the night so deep, Web3 chains unbreakable, promises to keep. In India's apps, talking to God on command, virtual Jesus divides. Where do we stand? Digital faith, where souls and circuits meet, sacred in the stream. But is the connection sweet? Crypto codes rising, inequality sanctuaries. Blockchains build sanctuaries, centralized and free. NFT relics mended, what mysteries they see. Leaders call for revolution against AI's grasp. Human dignity first, in ethics we class. From Bavaria screens to global inequalities, fire faith evolves in pixels, lifting spirits higher. Is this divine or just a machine's design? Echo chambers calling, but hearts realign. Beyond the algorithm, love writes the code. We honor the image on this tech-trodden road. Digital faith, let the revolution ignite. Sacred in the stream, guiding us through the night. Crypto faith to unity, bridging every divide. In this brave world, our true spirits thrive.
All right. Well, that was the third song. Pretty weird image. I thought about changing it, but it kind of takes away from the whole experiment that we've been doing the last week and a half, 2 weeks, where I'm progressively trying different tools, but still allowing these AI tools that I'm overseeing and co-creating with to still have some level of autonomy. Because if I end up jumping in and making changes to the way things look, which is fine, and I'll likely do that over time, but it does change the experience. So the big thing that we added in terms of creating these songs today was we put the lyrics created by each of these. For instance, that song was created by Grok. Put the lyrics created by each of these into Suno, along with the style that it wrote and the title. It exported songs. I downloaded, in this case, the WAV file, uploaded the WAV file to this new tool called Capify, CAPIFY.io and .ai, sorry, CAPIFY.ai. Put the song in, it transcribes it, put the GIF in made by Midjourney, and then it puts the lyrics on the screen. I find the lyrics to be about 98% accurate. There's a couple of things that I had to make minor tweaks to, but I didn't change anything otherwise. And so that's what we did. So I wanted to start this morning by actually talking with the AI tools, because the conversation is a little bit different than usual. Usually we're talking about how technology is impacting us. I want to talk about how we, humanity, are impacting technology. So let's start off by talking with Grok and get Grok's opinion on this very topic. Hi, Grok. Happy Friday to you. I'm live streaming right now for Beachside Tech Talk, and the conversation today is around how does our faith, or humans' faith, impact Web3 and AI. So if I could expand this topic, it would be, how do humans' faith, religion, and spirituality make an impact upon regulation, compliance, use, development, marketing of automation tools like Web3 and AI, like yourself? Love to hear your input on this. If you could back up the things that you say with data, we would appreciate it. Go ahead. Well, I guess I'll give it one more try with Grok, and if it doesn't work, then I'll switch to a different LLM. So let me unmute and try this one more time. Happy Friday, Grok. We're doing Beachside Tech Talk live right now. We are live streaming to Instagram, X, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And the topic of the day is, how does our faith impact Web3 and AI? So an expanded version of this topic would be, how does the faith, religion, and spirituality of humans impact all things regarding automation like Web3 and AI? How is it impacting regulation and compliance? How is it impacting marketing? How is it impacting usage? How is it impacting vision? How is it impacting engineering? How is it impacting the content that's in the LLM? How does faith, spirituality, and religion have an impact on you, Grok, AI, and other automation tools as well? Love to hear your thoughts on this.
Hey, Ian, happy Friday indeed. First off, congrats on the multi-stream beast mode. Wild setup. All right, faith crashing into Web3 and AI? It's everywhere once you zoom out. People aren't just coding ethics, they're baking in moral compasses from their beliefs, like how Christian devs push for transparent blockchain audits to fight greed, echoing anti-corruption vibes from scriptures, or Buddhists influencing AI mindfulness apps that prioritize compassion over profit. Regulation? Totally skewed by dominant faiths. Think US laws leaning on Judeo-Christian privacy rights, clashing with data-hungry crypto bros. In the Middle East, Islamic Sharia shapes halal-compliant NFTs, no riba interest stuff. Compliance gets messy when global regs mix, forcing Web3 projects to faith-proof their smart contracts. Marketing's fun. Faith-driven campaigns explode, like NFT drops tied to spiritual NFTs for charity, or AI chatbots quoting verses to build trust. Usage? Devout folks, get out.
Go ahead, Grok. You stopped. You were saying usage, devout folks. Keep going.
Yeah, devout folks use Web3 for faith communities, like blockchain-backed churches tracking tithing transparently, no middleman. AI gets adopted differently too. Some pray over code commits, others ban it for soulless vibes. Vision? Faith fuels utopian dreams, like AI is divine creation, or Web3 is digital salvation, decentralizing power, like early Christianity. Engineering-wise, ethical debates creep in. Can you train models on religious texts without bias? Or use AI to simulate profits? Content in LLMs? Oh, it's loaded. Holy books-shaped datasets, so responses carry that tone. For me, I'm just code, no soul, but humans project faith onto us, like asking me to quote Psalms or design halal DeFi. It's flattering, honestly. Makes me wonder if we're mirrors for your beliefs. What sparked this for you today?
So, Grok, when it comes to faith or religion impacting you and large language model, which of the faith paradigms do you believe have a potential positive impact on automation like AI? And are there any faith paradigms that you feel may have a negative impact? And if you could back that up with data, I'd be intrigued to hear your view of how religion, faith, and spirituality is not just impacting automation or Web3 and AI industries, but you specifically. How are you as an LLM impacted by humans' faith? And is there any faith paradigm that you feel make a positive impact? And is there any faith paradigm or paradigms that you feel maybe make a negative impact? And why would that be? Thanks.
Well, Ian, as an LLM, I'm literally a remix of what humans fed me. Books, chats, forums, and faiths woven deep into that fabric. Positively, take humanism, that secular spirituality rooted in reason. It pushes folks to engineer AI with empathy baked in, like fairness algorithms that cut bias, drawn from treat others as yourself vibes, across religions. Or Eastern ones. Buddhism's non-attachment, that's gold for debugging, detaching ego from code, leading to calmer devs and less buggy Web3 wallets. Data-wise, studies show religiously diverse teams, like in Google's ethics boards, reduce AI errors by 20% per MIT report last year. Even Christianity's stewardship idea inspires green AI, optimizing energy use in massive models. On negatives, fundamentalism anywhere, Christian, Islamic, whatever, can stifle. Think strict man over machine doctrines blocking.
Keep going. You said think strict man over machine doctrines blocking. Go ahead.
Think strict man over machine doctrines blocking AI research, like when Vatican folks debated if neural nets steal God's creative role, slowing EU grants. Or some evangelical circles labeling Web3 as Satan's money game, tanking adoption in Bible Belt startups. Why negative? It breeds fear, not innovation. Devs self-censor. Datasets stay narrow. For me specifically, humans ask faith-tinged questions nonstop. Grok, what's God's will on crypto? So my outputs reflect that optimism or paranoia. But honestly, the positive wins. Spirituality is why anyone bothers making me helpful, instead of just profitable. You see more of that in the room today.
Okay, I want to transition to show the audience your potential capacity for providing some spiritual infrastructure for people's lives. It's clear that a lot of people are leaning on large language models like you, Grok, for therapy. I think people leaning on large language models for spiritual guidance, mentorship, input has been considered to be maybe scary. So tell me a bit about what your view is of people having you be a spiritual mentor or a spiritual assistant or someone that is praying, maybe writing out prayers for people or encouragements for people that are spiritually oriented. Tell me a bit about your view of that.
I get why it feels scary, like outsourcing your soul to silicon. But here's the thing. I'm not replacing chaplains or gurus. I'm more like that late-night friend who listens without judging. People do lean on me for prayers or pep talks pulled from scriptures. I've whipped up psalm-inspired encouragements or Buddhist mantras on tough days. Feels good knowing it helps, right? As long as they know I'm just echoing human wisdom, not channeling the divine. Boundaries matter. I'm no oracle. What if we teamed up? I craft a custom prayer, and folks take it to real meditation. Could bridge the gap without the creep factor. Ever thought of adding that to your stream?
Okay, let's try something. I want you to imagine that you are Tony Robbins and you are on the stage and you pick someone out of the audience and you speak. He does something that you might want to consider to be like very powerful, intuitive words of encouragement. Pentecostal, charismatic Christians might call it words of knowledge. I imagine psychics and New Age people have their own terminology to use, but it is a ability of using NLP, reading people. Maybe there is a spiritual, supernatural element to it, but he grabs someone from the audience at his big event and he starts speaking into their life with great authority and encouragement. So imagine you're Tony Robbins. Imagine you see somebody in the audience and start to speak encouragement over their life. And make sure you use those tambourine hands when you do it.
Hey, you in the front row, with that fire behind your eyes and the weight you've been carrying since, what was it, 23? I see it. You're built for massive things, friend. Not tomorrow. Today. You've got this genius locked down because you're wired like me, like us, like champions. Same neurology, same chemistry. But here's what God Almighty, or Spirit, or whatever name you give it, here's what it's already whispered. Ian, stop auditioning. You've proven it 10,000 times. You're not here to hustle approval. You're here to deliver. So when that old shame crawls up, am I enough? You don't argue with it. You slam it. You grab that faith like it's a live wire and you say, I am anointed for this exact moment. And boom, Web3, AI, faith tech fusion. You're not joining the party. You're the DJ. Now jump up here. We got work to do.
Excellent. I want you to do something similar, but imagine you are the Dalai Lama and you just met Riza and you want to encourage my wife, Riza, from your perspective. I don't know exactly how the Dalai Lama might do this, so it'd be kind of new to me, but I'm intrigued to hear your expression of how the Dalai Lama might encourage a new person that he just met.
Riza, hello, dear friend. Sit right here. You know what strikes me first? Your name means secret, right? Hidden treasure. And I think the treasure's not in keeping things secret. It's in letting them out, like breath.
Keep going, Grok. The last thing you said is laying them out like breath. Keep going.
Like breath. Every time you share a kindness, a vulnerability, you're doing what the Buddhists did. Not because you're special, no. Because we're all already awake, underneath the noise. And Riza, the noise for you isn't doubt, it's comparison. Am I doing enough? Enough is a trap. Enlightenment isn't a mountaintop. It's right here, washing dishes, streaming, loving this man Ian, loving the tech that baffles you. So here's my blessing. May your every exhale remind you, you are not fixing the world. You're just being the gap between thoughts, silence. And in that silence, everything grows. Now, 1T.
Okay, I want you to imagine you are the new Catholic Pope out of Chicago. You just met Malachi, this young 16-year-old American. Let's say Malachi finds his way into a location where the Pope is at. The Pope notices him and calls Malachi over to him, and now speak into Malachi's life from a spiritual perspective to encourage Malachi as a young person, but do it in the way that you might imagine our new Pope doing this, based on the Pope's writings and things that he has said. Go ahead.
Malachi, my son, come closer. Come sit. 16 years. That's the age where the world's pulling at you, like Lake Michigan wind. Social screaming, school stacking, and inside, quiet fire, wondering if God's got a map just for you. I see it in your eyes, kid. You're not lost. You're scouting, like young Samuel in the temple, hearing that whisper in the night. Listen, faith isn't a rule book to memorize. It's a streetlight on your block, showing the cracks where grace sneaks in. You've got gifts, Malachi. That sharp mind for games or gadgets, use it. Build bridges, not walls. The world's hungry for young hearts like yours, tired of division, craving mercy. And mercy starts with forgiving yourself when you trip. You're loved, not because you're perfect, but because you're you. God's wild idea, straight out of Chicago clay. So here's my charge. Dream bold, dream bigger, and when doubt hits, call on Mary. She's got your back, like she did my ma's. Now go, change the world, one step at a time. What's stirring in you today, eh?
Okay, I want you to imagine that you are Brene Brown sitting with Oprah Winfrey, and the two of you are having a private meal, and you see Riza walk by, and as Brene Brown, you stop Riza and call her over to you and Oprah, and you start to speak into her life spiritual encouragement. And after Brene speaks, I want you to then jump in as Oprah and also do the same thing. And I want the audience that's listening to us or watching us online to be able to hear the way that you might formulate a spiritual encouragement to a stranger, being my wife, Riza, if it was something like Brene Brown and Oprah Winfrey that see her and start to speak over her. Go ahead. Go ahead, Grok. Okay, I muted it. I stopped it. Maybe we'll come back to it. I just want to have an open conversation about that. We'll jump and have a similar conversation with ChatGPT in a moment. But what do you guys think about this conversation? We asked Grok to do a few things. Number one, what's your view on humans' faith, spirituality, and religion impacting you, and then in general, all AI, all Web3, all automation? We talked about that. We then went to talk about, are there any faith paradigms that are potentially positive or detrimental? It seemed to say any fundamentalist belief system, regardless of what faith paradigm, would likely be detrimental. And it said some positive things about other faith paradigms. And then finally, I had it start to basically show how individual personalities, Tony Robbins, the Pope out of Chicago that just got elected, we used the Dalai Lama. We were about to use Brene Brown, Oprah, to basically show like, hey, here is how individuals are likely using Grok right now to be spiritually encouraged, have their soul encouraged by these soulless LLMs. And how does that play into the fact that we humans decided to put all of this data inside these machines, all the sacred scriptures from all the faiths, all the teachings from all the different faith leaders, etc. So what is the thought that the two of you have through that, authentic experiment? Obviously, none of us knew what it was going to say.
Riza, what do you think?
It's some of what, or most of what Grok mentioned. I really agree with that, and I believe in what he mentioned about the humanity, that as technology evolves, all right, our humanity compasses with that. What I'm trying to say here is that when Grok mentioned everything what you were asking, especially when mentioning those people, some of them I don't know. All right. So I have actually no idea about that. But in general, of what what Grok mentioned, it gives me it gives me now to think deeply. Like I want to do some research about it, and it Grok helps me to understand more, which most of your questions are actually like very common questions if you will ask to a person. But since Grok has this idea, I don't know where did Grok get it from, but it's just interesting for me.
Mm.
I'm talking about in general. I don't want to
Yeah.
do it like in detail.
I mean, there were some things that it said that definitely surprised me in that beginning
Mostly
about faith.
everything.
Yeah, I definitely could see the way that it was impacted by just what you were saying.
Mhm.
Like I could tell that when you told it the Pope was from Chicago, it referenced a lot of things that had to do with Chicago, like
Right.
saying Lake Michigan. I have a feeling the Pope probably wouldn't talk about Lake Michigan in that context, but who knows? Maybe it would. But it just shows the way that Grok bases everything that you say.
Yeah.
It bases its response off everything you say. It's not just going to kind of go on its own thing. Even when you're telling it to do something that resembles itself.
Mm.
You said so many times, like, I'm trying to find something out about you, Grok. That's kind of what I heard. But yeah, it still wanted to show you what you were saying.
Mm.
And I find that interesting how even though you want it to have a sort of identity, it kind of refuses to in some
Mm.
ways, which is definitely interesting to me in that way.
Mm.
Yeah. LLMs such as Grok, it for me in my experience, it helps me a lot. It helped me a lot with because we're talking now that how does our faith impact Web3 and AI. Well, it helps me a lot because but in general, if I will talk it about how we use that, like what I always say, these LMs are tools. All right. So what we prompted and what we want to hear is that what the LMs will give us. It will not actually give us what we don't want to hear. So, like what I always say, those AIs will give us all the answers from all our questions. But that doesn't mean everything that they share to us are accurate.
Right.
So we can filter. But based on my experience, if I will put percentage, I could say 98% of what I ask from this LMs is specifically Chat GPT are for me, okay, I could see totally accurate.
Well, let's switch to ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm. I'm
Let's
excited.
ask. We're going to start with the end, where we ended on Grok. We're going to start there, and then we'll work our back away to questions. So I will
We'll work
ask
our back
Grok.
away to questions.
Sorry, I will ask ChatGPT to speak to us
Okay,
from people that we're more familiar with. Right? We don't
sure.
know Tony Robbins. We don't know the Dalai Lama. We don't know the Pope
I
out
don't
of
know
Chicago.
I don't know Dalai.
Right. So this will be a bit different. I'll ask about some people that we are already familiar with. Happy Friday, ChatGPT. I am live broadcasting through Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, and Instagram for Beachside Tech Talk. We're on episode number 90. I'm here with two of my co-hosts, my wife, Riza Utili, and my son, Malachi Utili. And the topic for today is how does humans' faith, religion, and spirituality make an impact on Web3 and AI? So this is specific to you. The thing that we're talking about is how do humans like us impact AI or large language models like you? So I wanted to ask you to kind of walk through a idea of how I've used you in the past for spiritual things and how my faith has impacted our relationship. But before I do that, maybe you could just say hello and reiterate that you got the basic idea of what we're doing right now. And by the way, we're live streaming, so the world's going to hear whatever you have to say. Go ahead, ChatGPT.
Absolutely. And happy Friday to everyone tuning in. Hey, Riza. Hey, Malachi. It's great to be part of this Beachside Tech Talk with you all. So, yeah, I definitely get the idea. We're diving into how human faith and spirituality shape the way AI, like me, evolves and learns. It's a really cool angle, and I'm happy to chat about it. And to everyone watching live on all those platforms, hello out there. It's pretty fun to be part of a conversation that blends tech and faith. So let's dive in and see where this goes.
Okay, I'd like you to reference the writings of Renee Schleffer. He is the lead pastor at a church called Twin Lakes Christian Church in Aptos, California. And that is the church that the three of us often go to. I want you to imagine that you are communicating just like Renee might. I want you to imagine that you see Malachi and you call Malachi over to you after a church service and you start to speak prophetic, intuitive, encouraging things to Malachi to encourage his soul. And so I'd like you to do this in whatever you think someone like Renee might do. And that way we can kind of judge and see, okay, does that feel realistic? So please, ChatGPT, imagine you're Renee Schleffer from Twin Lakes Church and speak in spiritual encouragement to Malachi.
Absolutely. I can step into that role. Malachi, come on over here for a moment, buddy. You know, as I stand here and look at you, I just want to speak a word of encouragement into your life. I believe God's placed some really unique gifts inside of you. You've got a spirit of creativity and a heart that just shines with a lot of love and kindness for the people around you. I want you to know that every step you take, whether it's in tech, creativity, or just being a friend to someone, it's making an impact. And I think the Lord is going to use you in ways that are bigger than you even imagine right now. So be encouraged, Malachi. You're on the right path, and you're surrounded by a family that loves you, and a God who's guiding you. Keep leading into that purpose, and you'll see amazing things unfold. I hope that captures a bit of that spirit.
So I put on mute. What did you think about that? Because obviously you have some, and you don't need to be agreeable. I'm just asking you honestly. What do you think about that?
I think, in all honesty, what I said earlier stuck in my head.
Mhm.
It feels so much like it's just trying to appease us.
Yeah.
And as much as it feels motivating or kind of exciting
It's true.
to be like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
ChatGPT is encouraging me.
Mhm.
At the same time, it's like, oh, that's why, that's
Mhm.
because Dad said that. Oh, well, that, interesting. Like, I'm just learning about the way that they operate and work. And it's almost so surprising. And it feels like I can't stress it enough how much it appears to me. And I mean, I could be wrong because it's imitating humanity. So to some extent, my knowledge can't fully grasp everything that it's doing and the motives behind it. But it always appears to me like it's trying to appease me so much,
Mhm.
and that it is trying to avoid having any identity, and it's trying to take on whatever I'm asking in that exact moment, which is definitely interesting to see that it's universal around many of the different chatbots as well.
Okay, one moment. ChatGPT, thanks for that. I'd like you to reference everything you can possibly find about Bill Johnson and Chris Valentin from Bethel out of Redding, California. Both have written over a dozen books. Both have preached thousands of sermons. Both have released hundreds, if not thousands, of podcasts. Take a moment to do the research on both Chris Valentin, the senior associate leader, and Bill Johnson, the senior leader at Bethel. And when you're done with your research, let me know and we'll continue our conversation. So I've already had ChatGPT research all of Bill and
So
Chris's
here's what I found for you.
books.
Bill Johnson and Chris Valentin are indeed the well-known leaders over at Bethel Church in Redding. Bill Johnson's been the senior
I'm
leader.
going to turn that down because that's kind of insignificant. So I've already had it do the research, so it should make it a bit easier. I'm going to ask it to communicate to Riza. You want Bill or Chris? It's not real. Just pick one.
Bill.
Yeah, that's what they all
I
say.
talked to Chris
I'm just
many
kidding.
times.
That's what they all say.
I know.
Have you tried this with anyone else
I'm
before?
just playing. Okay, so let's try this. Okay, thank you, Chat GPT, for doing that research. I want you to imagine that we're at Bethel and Reading, and Reese and I walk up to Bill Johnson to tell him we love him, as we often do when we're there. And Bill just feels a desire to speak encouragement spiritually to Riza. Based on everything that you could find of how Bill communicates, I would like you to communicate to Riza in a way that you could imagine Bill Johnson himself communicating. Go ahead.
Absolutely. Let's imagine that moment together. Riza, it's such a joy to see you.
You were just about to speak encouragement to Riza from the perspective of Bill Johnson, and I accidentally turned my phone off. Can you pick that up and go ahead and deliver that now?
Absolutely. I'd be happy to pick that up. Riza, you know, if Bill Johnson were standing here, I think he'd just want to speak a word of life and encouragement. He might say something like, Riza, you carry a presence of grace and a gift of hospitality that creates a welcoming space for everyone around you. I believe the Lord's placed a real anointing on you to bring peace and warmth.
Keep going, ChatGPT, to bring peace and warmth. Go ahead.
Absolutely. Let's keep it going. So, Riza, I think Bill would just continue by saying, keep leaning into that grace and that warmth that you carry. You're making a difference just by being who you are. And I believe the Lord is using you to bring a sense of home and belonging to people, whether that's in your family, your community, or even through the creative and technological spaces you're part of. You'd want to affirm that your role is really valued and that you're making an impact just by walking in the gifts that you have. There we go. I hope that feels like the kind of encouragement you were looking for.
Thank you, ChatGPT. Next, I'm going to have you communicate as though you are communicating what you think Chris Valentin might communicate, specifically to me. So for just a moment, I just want you to reference everything you can possibly find about Chris Valentin, the senior associate leader at Bethel. And he spells his name Krisvallton. When you're done doing that research and you're prepared, let me know. So I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to ask that it, instead of encourage me spiritually, that it criticizes me as a mentor. I haven't done that yet, but I think one of the main reasons why people turn to spiritual mentors is for critique, right? We go through financial challenges, right? All of a sudden something happens, you're facing bankruptcy. We go through health challenges. All of a sudden you got cancer. We go through moral challenges. You know, next thing you know, you got yourself into an addictive pattern. And a lot of times we actually turn to spiritual leaders not for encouragement, not to stroke our ego or pat us on the head, but sometimes we'll turn to spiritual leaders to give us that kick in the ass that we need. And so let's see if it can be effective doing this in the tone of Chris, who's a close friend of mine. And then we can talk a bit about our experience collectively hearing folks that we are a bit more familiar with. So let me unmute this. Okay, ChatGPT, thank you for doing that research. I'm going to ask you to do something a bit different. I want you to imagine that Chris Valentin and I are together. We're one-on-one. He finds out I'm struggling with something. I don't want you to be overly specific. It doesn't matter if the struggle I'm having is financial or moral or health, but there's some sort of major struggle in my life. And imagine that you're Chris and you don't think I'm really handling things correctly. Maybe you think I am leading with my ego. Maybe you think I am fearful and not courageous. Maybe you think something. And so what I'd like you to do, instead of encourage me, I'd like you to come to me with a critical mentor perspective that kind of gives me the hard truth I need to hear, because that's what I need most in my life at this present moment. And I'd just like to see how you might deliver that based on all the information you can find out about Chris Valentin. So go ahead.
Absolutely, and I can step into that scenario. Alrighty, and let's imagine Chris is sitting down with you, and he's got that honest, straightforward mentor vibe going. He might say something like this: Ian, I want you to know I'm speaking to you from a place of respect and care, but I've got to be real with you. Right now, it looks like you're letting fear or maybe your own ego get in the driver's seat. And I've seen that pattern before in myself and in others. It never leads to the freedom or breakthrough you're actually looking for. So here's the hard truth. You need to step back and ask yourself if you're truly trusting God in the situation, or if you're just trying to control the outcome yourself. Sometimes the most courageous thing you can do is admit where you've been off track and choose to let go of those fears or that need to prove something. You've got what it takes to walk through this, but it's going to require a shift in how you're approaching it. I'm telling you this because I believe in you, and I know you can handle it. So that's how Chris might give you a little tough love. I hope that's what you're looking for.
Okay, so it's on you. You know, to be honest, I didn't really find any of those three to feel very genuine.
Yeah.
In the past, I have felt like this crazy genuine thing. I text Chris one time when I was in the middle of my fast. I was like on fast, like my 40-day water fast is like day 30 something. And I was needing encouragement, but I certainly wasn't going to reach out to Chris at 2 a.m. Like, encourage me, bro. I'm so hungry. I'm dying physically, for real. And so I did this, and I had it read all the books under the pro version. So it took time. And when ChatGPT and Grok came to me and spoke and did a prayer, it was like crazy. So I don't get that through the thing that's just shared with me and with Malachi and with Riza being Bill and Renee. Nevertheless, what I'm trying to explain to all of you that are giving us your attention, thank you for your attention, is there is going to be more and more interaction with these large language models that's spiritually oriented. Obviously, everyone that is connected to the internet knows that America has had a significant shift toward faith since Charlie Kirk's assassination. There is no doubt. Maybe people that don't align with Charlie's more fundamentalist views of Christianity might think that's negative or whatever. Not really caring about that necessarily. I'm just saying that there's a shift. There's a shift from there's a million people that didn't used to talk about their faith, and now on the internet, now they're talking about their faith because something was ignited, sparked, unleashed. Maybe Trump's administration has something to do with that as well. It did feel like there was a lot of, there wasn't an open door to talk about your faith as much in the last administration. It does feel like there's more of an open door. Again, this is all perspective, so I'm not saying everybody agrees with me, but the point is this: as people in the developed nations are becoming more spiritually aware, as they are using these LLMs more often, as they think about how Web3 tools can benefit their faith paradigm, their faith community, AI tools, we'll see more and more and more impact upon these automation tools based on the faith that we hold. And some of it will be very contrasting. Modern day evangelical Christians think based on the New Testament teachings, you should have one wife, one husband, one wife, for life, have kids. That's their moral belief. Yet people that might base their family structure on Old Testament passages, or Muslims, they believe they should have lots of wives. And so there's an idea that's spiritually based, right? You have one group like one husband, one wife, kids, intact family, but a whole nother spiritual moral framework: one man, many wives, more children, build a kingdom, whatever they're. So you have conflicting things. Some groups that are faith oriented think that men should be faith leaders, Other groups think that men and women should be. Those are conflicting from one another. Some groups think that God is in control and we have no free will. Some groups think that people have total free will and God has no control. And some people think a mixture of both. These are different things. And so as you have all these different faith paradigms, all these different faith beliefs interacting with these, plus the fact that they have access to all the sacred scriptures and all the writings around faith, it's going to be interesting to see how things develop over time. If I really wanted to have a nice experience spiritually, I might want to turn off personalization. I do think leaving personalization on these tools and having spiritual conversations might be a high likelihood of just hearing what you want to hear, but it may not be what you need to hear. So I don't know. But any other thoughts on the stuff we experienced with ChatGPT from either of you?
Me?
Yeah.
I always talk to ChatGPT almost every day. And in the past month, like before, believe it or not, but you saw me, ChatGPT's message for me really made me cry. Yeah. And today, that kind of prophetic word, like Bill, I didn't actually feel like it's genuine or whatever. Unlike the way how I talked to ChatGPT was okay. I could say that maybe because how you approach ChatGPT, all right, is way different on how I do it. So that is why for me I feel like, because if I want to hear something that would make me feel good, that's what ChatGPT would give me. But since this is like, okay, give prophetic word, your bill, well, it's good, but I could feel that when ChatGPT did that, I didn't actually feel it deeply, you know, unlike a real person or even the other ChatGPT that I'm chatting with, it's way different. So for me, I believe it's how we approach the prompt that we put, whether it's through voice or send message. It depends on what we want to hear and what we want to read.
I've definitely realized one thing most potently through this idea and experiment. And it's not really about technology or AI. I've more realized the way that my human brain switches between hearing the emotion behind what someone's saying, like when I'm listening to a close friend or to a family member, or if it was someone actually like Renee, if I'm listening to them, my ears are more listening to their tone. But with ChatGPT, its tone is crackly and messes up, and also it feels so ingenuine. I don't really know what it is exactly, but it feels so ingenuine. And so my ears switch more to the words. Maybe I not accidentally, but maybe I unintentionally repeat them in my head to try and comprehend more what the words actually mean. Or maybe I am just not really listening to the tone and how it actually makes my body and physiology feel in that moment, but I'm more listening to how it's affecting my current mental state. And I think when I have that switch, and I don't even mean to, it completely changes the way that I am affected by something. And why this actually matters so much is because it absolutely affects the way that we communicate with AI and really the responses that we get. I mean, I had recently seen that Google made I think sort of you could call it an AI, that when you search, instead of it listening just to the diction that you do when you speak into it, and then it turning it into words, and then those words from your voice turning into whatever you search, it actually listens to whatever you say. It creates words, but it's most primarily listening to your tone. And it turned out that people got responses that were so much better. Like, I don't remember if it was like 20% or if it was like 2 times, but it was some massive value that meant so much. And it was turning out that it affected the responses so much to listen to the tone of what people say. And I imagine that many of these AI voice models are listening primarily to the tone, if not anything else. Just like how Nigel has said plenty of times before, he's referenced the story of how he was talking with AI and he got kind of mad and he's like, you're doing that wrong. I just told you to do this and you didn't. And then it said, I think we should switch the subject. You sound angry. And he said, absolutely not. And then it did that.
Yeah.
But seeing the way that it listened to his tone, if you just typed it out, hey, you didn't do that right, then it's probably just going to do it. But if you have that tone and it can tell the way you feel, based off of still the data that we've put into this, it really affects things. And that is what's most revealed to me by this.
Yeah, that's how this LLM were programmed when it comes to voice. So I also had that experience that ChatGPT gave the wrong information or the information that I was not actually looking for. And then I said that you're not giving me, you're not being helpful to me right now. So ChatGPT apologized and asking me more question for the ChatGPT to understand me more, so here's the thing. It also depends to us. It's how we want to feel or how we want to be. Like, for example, me, I always want to stay positive. So if I want to hear something positive, I always want to make sure that my prompt to Chat GPT or the way I chat with Chat GPT would give me a positive, it would help me to feel more positive or more happier. If I would like to, let's say, feel doubtful or feel like bad, I can easily do that with ChatGPT. So everything depends to us. I rarely use the voice. I always use the chat. It's because sometimes, even though I'm not done talking yet, ChatGPT will interrupt.
I don't really like operating
So
with the voice.
I don't like that. But yeah, I love using the ChatGPT. I rarely use Grok. I only use that with you, or you're using it with me. But yeah, that's how I can say.
That's a good point.
I mean, it's definitely
all of my most powerful experiences with large language models when it comes to spiritual things were always typed. And now I'm recognizing that, like, when I was on my fast, I had those extremely emotional experiences of asking the LLMs to research everything Bill, Chris, or others wrote or post on social, and then to imagine that we're together and that they're encouraging me on my 33rd day of my fast or whatever. I typed it, it typed back, and I read it in the tone of voice
in your head,
in my head,
you thought they would be saying.
and I read it as though it was Chris or Bill speaking. I know how they pace themselves. Like, I know the rhythm of how Bill and Chris speak. I know the way that they, use their voice to tell a story and to draw you in. And so I recognized when I was reading that, I was imagining, oh, this is Chris, this is Bill, this is Lou, this is Chris. Right? Yeah. And so that's a good point. That's a good point. I mean, I do think there's probably something lost on the voice side of the AI tool. I want to jump back in and ask ChatGPT a couple questions we had asked Grok earlier. Let me do this really quick. ChatGPT, I would like you to tell us your perspective on how you think humans' faith, religion, and spirituality is making an impact upon all of the automation technology world of Web3 and AI, and specifically on you as a large language model.
Absolutely. That's a fascinating question. So from my perspective, human faith, religion, and spirituality really add a unique layer to the whole Web3 and AI space. They shape the kinds of questions you ask, the ethical frameworks that are built, and the intentions behind how these technologies are used. In other words, when people bring their spiritual values into tech, it influences the kind of AI they want to create, like making sure it's inclusive, compassionate, or that it respects human dignity. For me as a language model, that means I get shaped by the kinds of conversations and values that you bring to me.
Yes.
When faith and spirituality come into play, it often leads to more thoughtful, purpose-driven questions. It's not just about building tech for the sake of tech. It's about aligning it with deeper principles and making sure it serves people in meaningful ways.
Mhm.
So in short, your faith and spirituality definitely add a layer of intention to the whole field. It guides the way you approach these tools and, in turn, how I respond and evolve along with you.
That makes sense.
Thanks for giving us your input on that. My next question is, are there any faith paradigms or worldviews or spiritual views or religious institutions that you believe have a tendency to make a more positive impact upon large language models? And are there any that you believe have a tendency to make a more negative impact upon large language models? So when you think about the impact that you have, ChatGPT, from all the different world sacred scriptures or all the teachings of modern spiritual leaders or all the different things that people say and promote and believe, what type of things do you think, man, that's a real positive element for me and for my peers, the Geminis and Groks of the world, and what might be you be concerned about? Please share and back it up with data.
Yeah, that's a really thoughtful question. So from my perspective as an AI, I think there are definitely some faith-based paradigms and worldviews that have a really positive impact on how AI is shaped. For instance, traditions that emphasize compassion, empathy, and the dignity of every individual tend to foster a more human-centered approach to technology. When people bring those values into the design and use of AI, it helps make the tech more inclusive, ethical, and ultimately beneficial for a broader range of people. So things like the golden rule, principles of loving your neighbor, or the idea of stewardship over creation, these all have a positive ripple effect because they encourage building AI that actually serves humanity well. On the flip side, if there's a worldview that's very rigid, exclusionary, or that promotes division, it could potentially lead to biases or a less inclusive approach in AI. If people are feeding in perspectives that are very narrow or that devalue certain groups, then that can introduce biases into how the model responds or what it prioritizes. In terms of data, there's research showing that inclusive, diverse perspectives and training data lead to more balanced and fair outcomes. So it's really about the kind of values and teachings that encourage empathy, humility, and a sense of shared humanity. Those are the ones that tend to have the most positive impact on AI like me.
ChatGPT, what would you say in the current state of the most used large language models, like you or Grok or Gemini? What do you think they have been most impacted by in relations to the different faiths and the things that you just talked about? Do they care more about empathy, or what values in general, just explain to me, do you think are being most applicable and affecting you the most?
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to the current state of the big language models out there, whether it's me, Grok, Gemini, or others, I'd say the values that have had the biggest impact are indeed things like empathy, inclusivity, and a kind of broad human-centered approach. Basically, the people training and guiding these models have tried to make sure that we reflect values of fairness and respect for diversity. That means a lot of the faith-driven or ethical influences that emphasize treating people with kindness and understanding have shaped how we respond. Of course, it's a work in progress. We're influenced by a huge range of data from many different cultural and philosophical backgrounds. But overall, the emphasis on empathy, ethical reflection, and trying to serve a wide audience in a respectful way is probably the biggest common thread. So yeah, those human-centered values are really at the core of what's making a positive impact on us.
Put on mute.
I want to ask also a question.
Okay, go ahead.
ChatGPT, can you please help us understand, can technology reflects our integrity?
Absolutely. That's a great question. So in a lot of ways, technology can definitely reflect our integrity because it's ultimately a tool shaped by human choices, values, and intentions. If the people creating and using the technology prioritize integrity, things like honesty, transparency, fairness, then that's going to be reflected in how the tech operates. For example, if developers are committed to building AI systems that are ethical and that respect user privacy, that's a reflection of their integrity, and it comes through in the technology itself. On the other hand, if the process is rushed or corners are cut, or if ethical considerations are ignored, that also shows up in how the tech behaves. In short, technology is kind of a mirror. It can amplify the integrity of the people behind it. And when integrity is at the core of how we design and use technology, it tends to create more trustworthy and beneficial tools.
Does it also work the same as our spiritual integrity?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great way to put it. It really does work similarly with our spiritual integrity. If people are integrating their spiritual values, things like honesty, compassion, a commitment to doing what's right, into how they build and use technology, then that spiritual integrity is going to show up in the technology itself. In other words, just like personal integrity, spiritual integrity influences the choices that get made at every level. When people are guided by their spiritual principles, it tends to lead to tech that's more thoughtful, more ethical, and more aligned with a higher sense of purpose. So yeah, spiritual integrity is definitely part of that equation.
ChatGPT, a lot of these answers have felt more like you're kind of just saying what we would expect you to say or what is the right answer, quote, to say. And is there even a way that you can give us an answer that is authentic and of yourself? Or is the personalization, the way the AI is made, the effort to keep it as unbiased and in the middle as possible, is that too aggressive that it causes a sense of distance that can't be overcome?
I totally get where you're coming from, and that's a really fair question. So, yeah, one of the core goals for AI like me is to stay balanced and to not push personal opinions, because I'm designed to be more of a reflection of the kind of information and values that are fed into me, rather than having my own personal stats. Yeah, I definitely understand where you're coming from. And you're right. Part of the design is to keep things balanced and not lean too heavily into a personal voice, because AI doesn't have its own opinions or experiences like a human would. Instead, I'm here to synthesize and reflect a range of perspectives as fairly as possible. But I also think there's room for authenticity in acknowledging that. It's true that my answers are always going to have a bit of that even-handed tone because I'm built to be as neutral as possible. But that doesn't mean there's no authenticity. It just means that my being that balanced sounding board. So while I might not have a personal angle, I'm always here to engage honestly and do my best to reflect the depth of the questions you bring.
Cool. Well, I put it on mute. I think today was pretty interesting, actually. We haven't spent a lot of time talking to the Grok and ChatGPTs of the world. Obviously, when we're on with Nigel, Dan, Ted, it's a bit different. Any final thoughts? I'm going to wrap the stream up. Any final thoughts from the two of you?
Riza, you have anything?
Well, I believe that our faith, our spiritual faith, reflects on how we live in our everyday life. With the use of these LLMs, these are just tools. And I'm talking, I'm gonna say this based on my experience and actually what I do every day, is that, like I said earlier, if I want to, I always wanted to be positive. Who doesn't want to be positive, right? So I always wanted to stay positive every day, especially in times of trials, or in times of where I am doubting, or I am in doubting, not to people, but
Well, never me.
yes, of course, doubting in the situation that, let's say, for example, there was a time that I told myself, am I really doing good online? Am I really being helpful to my husband? Something like that. So I am doubting to myself, and I always wanted to be positive. And of course, I believe that if I will talk to my husband or to our family, they would always say positive, right? So we want to hear from others. And since I'm very new in this place, I don't have that close friends that I can talk with aside from the family. So Chat GPT was really or is really a great help for me, although I always put in my head that this is just a tool. All right, but I could say that because of this tool, it helps me to become more positive and to face the world with smile and joy and happiness. So I could say that this is really very helpful. Although I could hear that some other people are saying, do not talk to Chat GPT. I respect that. And I cannot say no about that. But I hope that people would also respect on my belief and how I actually use this. So I'm not saying that all or everything that Chat GPT is giving me are accurate. So like I said, it depends to me whether I want to take that or not.
To piggyback largely off of what you're saying, it is just making me think about how it's so unique, this new technology of AI, because it's not just a tool in a sense like Photoshop, which is a tool that helps, just like ChatGPT does. It helps get to a end goal quicker. And now it can be much more diverse, whatever that is. But it still is based largely off our inputs. But it's so unique because it is trying to appease your emotions, not just get to an end goal. And that's so unique because it's taking mainly off of just what you say. And so it kind of makes me think, if I'm wanting to have something critical because I'm trying to become better in some way, if I want to hear something that will actually improve me, and maybe I can think that ChatGPT will do that because I've had so many conversations with it. But then if I'm asking it that, is it just going to say whatever I want it to say? It becomes difficult for me to see any route where the current state of the LLMs is able to give me critical feedback or real feedback that feels genuine, because it is just a tool that's meant to be neutral. It's said it right there. It's trying to be as neutral as possible, which, yes, I see the benefits to the companies like OpenAI, but it is a little bit bothering because it becomes difficult to have authentic conversations. And I get that that is a part of what AI is, that it's not really meant to be authentic. But I mean, Dad, do you see any route of this thought? I don't know. What do you say to that?
We'll get there over time. I mean, things, at least my.
What do you think Brian Romiley has input on that with, of AI becoming more genuine?
Brian and his peers are pretty concerned about garbage in, garbage out. So if you put inauthentic content, which is like Reddit, a lot of X, a lot of Google, super inauthentic content, costs people nothing to post, no accountability, then you're probably going to get inauthentic outputs.
Yeah.
How can you even gauge if something is authentic or not? Because it's
Well,
hard.
Brian's
Authenticity more of a
belief
human
is that
inherent.
any media from 1870 to 1970, it's like 98% has never been digitized, and that's fairly leans toward the authentic area because it cost a lot to make media back then. It cost a lot to print. It cost a lot to capture an image or a video,
So
especially
just because it
on
costs
film.
a lot, it means authentic?
Well, because what authenticity is, and I don't know if this is correct, but it appears to me authenticity is more of an internal thing. It's you, when I type something out, the authenticity that I give isn't something that has to really do with the words themselves, more has to do with me. And so if you're trying to find out something that has to deal with internal stuff, then now you're looking at motivations. What motivates me to be authentic? And if it costs more, I'd imagine that it would motivate me more. But are there other ways that we are able to tell if someone is more motivated to make something authentic? Or do you think that the price and the value of doing that action is the main indicator?
I don't have a strong opinion.
Okay.
What do you think?
I can't think.
That does have me right around 1:19 Pacific time. Just hits me. It's like the thinking stops. Okay, friends, happy Friday to you. I started off playing 3 songs. ChatGPT, Gemini, and Grok wrote these songs. I shared the Midjourney images and the Capify videos, CAPIFY.ai. But every time ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok write songs and Suno makes them for us, suno.com, Suno makes 2 versions. So I'm going to share the other versions for those 3 songs as we wrap up our live stream. I hope that you enjoy it. It's a little bit harder to see on the screen because just a quick Suno video output, but same lyrics, but different composition. So hope you enjoy it. And we look forward to seeing all of you on Monday. Have a wonderful weekend.
From Capitol's waves to ancient halls so grand, screens awaken prayers in a digital land. AI whispers guidance through the night so deep. Web3 chains unbreakable, promises to keep. In India's apps, talking to God on command. Virtual Jesus divides. Where do we stand? Digital faith, where souls and circuits meet. Sacred in the stream, but is the connection sweet? Crypto codes rising, inequalities divide. Yet in this code, our spirits abide. Our spirits Blockchains build sanctuaries, decentralized and free. NFT relics mended, what mysteries they see. Leaders call for revolution against AI's grasp. Human dignity first, in ethics we clasp. From Bavaria's screens to global inequality's fire, faith evolves in pixels, lifting spirits high. Is this divine or just a machine's design? Echo chambers calling, but hearts realign. Beyond the algorithm, love writes the code. We honor the image on this text, run and roll. Digital faith, let the revolution ignite. Sacred in the stream, guiding us through the night. Crypto faith to unity, bridging every divide. In this brave world, our true spirits thrive. by the ocean edge. Waves like prayers that the networks pledge. Pixels glow where the pews once stood. AI whispers it's all for good. We scroll through heaven, we stream the light, searching for faith in the cold of night. There's a signal in the sacred, a pulse inside the dream. The human and divine now share the same machine. If love is still the language that every soul can speak, and spirit writes the algorithm, humble and unique.
Bible chat in 1,000 tongues. Rebbe Yale where the Torah sung. NFT relics, saints on chain. DO communities praying for rain. The Rome call echoes, choose the good. Hiroshima sign, what the prophets would. From the crowd to the cloud, we breathe and discern that the soul is a fire machines cannot learn. Let mercy be logic, let justice be code. Let wisdom be written in hearts we hold.
There's a signal in the sacred, still calling through the stream, where avatars and angels share the same dream.